Hello and welcome all of my fellow kindred. My name is Oberok, and in this new video series, I will be breaking down the clans of Bloodhunt, along with some strengths and how to play the clan tips. I will first start this series off with the Bruja Clan. Let's begin. First off, let me explain that there are two archetypes to each clan in Bloodhunt. The two archetypes in the Bruja Clan are the Brute and the Vandal. Both of these characters have a clan power, passive power, and an archetype power. Each clan in Bloodhunt share the same clan power, but they all have different passive powers and archetype powers. In the Bruja's case, both the Brute and Vandal share a Soaring leap ability. This ability will allow you to travel a far distance to evade incoming damage, regroup with your teammates, chase down the Anarchs, and other scenarios like that. Moving on to the Brute as a standalone archetype. Let's start with the Brute's passive power known as True Grit. This passive will allow the Brute to gain up to 100 HP after not taking any damage for a short time. Let me give you an example. If you are in the middle of a fight but end up taking a significant amount of damage, let's say 1 HP remains, if you are able to disengage from the fight a few seconds after taking no damage at all, your health bar will go from 1 HP to 100 HP, and that is where your health bar will stay until you find another source of healing. Moving on to the Brute's archetype power, Shockwave Punch. The Brute will send forth a deflective barrier that will send bullets back in the direction they came from, while also allowing the Brute to shoot through it. Bullets can't get in, but they surely can get out. But that's not all. This wall isn't stationary. No, not at all. This wall will come flying at anyone or anything the Brute throws it at before disappearing after a long range distance. Upon impact on an Anarch, the wall will not only knock back said Anarch a few feet, but will also damage them for 22 HP. The Brute is a very standard tank-like DPS archetype considering the passive and archetype power. So now, how can you become the best Brute possible? Let me list a few tips. Tip number 1, utilize your Shockwave Punch in team fights more than solo engagements. Considering this ability can affect multiple Anarchs at a time and put your team on top of the fight, wasting it on a solo Anarch can drastically change a team fight when your teammates need a protective wall or a knockback in a good team push. And considering this power by default has an 18-second cooldown, you'll want to utilize it as a team play over solo operations. Tip number 2, remember that your passive only kicks in after you drop below 100 HP, and it will only fill back up to 100 HP after not taking any damage for a few seconds. Tip number 3, use your Soaring leap to close the gap in team fights with a good team push, or in the case of disengaging from a fight, to make it back to your own team, so you can take on the Anarchs together, rather than using Soaring leap the moment it becomes available. The reason you want to wait until the proper time to use your Soaring leap is because by default, Soaring leap has a 20-second cooldown, and in a game like Bloodhunt, every second counts. So 20 seconds without being able to escape or engage could cost you or your team the fight and send you back to the Elysium. Hopefully this information helped. Now, moving on to the Vandal archetype. First up is the passive power. The Vandal passive is Adrenaline Rush. This power makes it so the Vandal takes less damage when in close proximity to the Anarchs, making the Vandal one of the best team aggro options. Next up, we have the Vandal's archetype power, Earth Shock. This power allows the Vandal to slam down to the ground from high altitudes, straight onto the Anarchs, knocking them up in the air, while also damaging them for 10, 14, and 16 damage from what I've seen, then also stunning them for a short duration while they are mid-air. The Vandal is much more of a tank archetype compared to the Brute, considering the passive and archetype power. Very helpful in team fights with taking the aggro of the Anarchs for a time while your team heals up. So now how can you become the best Vandal possible? Let me list a few tips. Tip number 1, much like with the Brute, utilize your Vandal's Soaring leap to engage on a fight with your team and disengage from a fight to regroup with your team. Tip number 2, Considering the Vandal's passive allows them to take less damage when close to the Anarchs, you should be in the fight the most and up close to the Anarchs, since you'll end up taking the least damage on your team, allowing your teammates to flank around the Anarchs while you have their attention. Tip number 3. Remember to use your Earth Shock Ground Slam in team fights, since it not only can affect one Anarch, but multiple Anarchs, with not only a knock up and stun, but also with a portion of damage. This power is great when rushing a team of Anarchs, since you can easily overwhelm them, especially considering you are a walking bullet sponge, and you have 2 other kindred on your team who are helping you fight. Hopefully this information was helpful, but also please remember, you won't become the best Brute or Vandal overnight. Practice makes perfect. That's all I got for you guys today. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like on it. And if you like Bloodhunt content in general, please also hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell so you get notified each time I post a new video. And if you would like to check out any of my streams, I do stream on Twitch every Sunday, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. There will be a link to my Twitch channel in the description. Please also let me know in the comments what clan and archetype you main in Bloodhunt. And if you'd like to see any of my other Bloodhunt content, I'll leave 2 of my previous videos on the screen now. Take care, my fellow kindred. I'll see you in Prague.